This evening, after almost 30 years and no progress, the border dispute goes to the ICJ. Prime Minister defends Guyana's president. Interreligious organization to host interfaith harmony in the region. Venezuela's crime wave is spreading into Colombia. And international, U.S. President Donald Trump delivers his first State of the Union address.
From Safe TV headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safe TV Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Today is Wednesday, January the 31st, 2018, and this edition of Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. The Guyana-Venezuela border controversy is now going to the International Court of Justice. Nonetheless, persons are asking, what is the government's next move? Wendell Jeffrey has more on the issue.
President David Granger smiled with a sense of victory for Guyana as he announced that the United Secretary General Antonio Guterres has sent the Guyana-Venezuelan land dispute to the International Court of Justice, ICJ.
Guyanese, I'm happy to inform the nation that I've been advised that the Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, has decided to refer the controversy arising out of the claim by the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to the territory of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana to the International Court of Justice.
It must be noted that whatever the ruling, whether or not in favor of Guyana, the ICJ's decision will be final. Still, the President seemed comfortable with the decision for the matter to go to court.
Guyana welcomes this decision. Guyana's position has always been that the basis of the controversy was a legal question which should be resolved peacefully and conclusively through a legal process.
It is not yet clear who will take the lead on representing Guyana's matters at the International Court. Many speculate that Guyana may enlist the services of former Attorney General and Commonwealth Secretary General Sir Shidat Ramphal, an international dispute settlement lawyer, Pamya Akaran. Nevertheless, some persons are expressing concerns with the competence of the current Attorney General, Basil Williams. When Channel 2 Headline News contacted the AG's office, a Miss Andrea Marks said that the AG's chamber knew nothing about the case. She further said that we should contact the office of the President if we need any information.
Yeah, very good afternoon. Wendell Jeffrey, Channel 2 Headline News. Who am I speaking with?
Miss Andrea Marks.
Miss Andrea Marks. I was just asking if you guys have someone, a public relations person who deals with matters that pertains to the AG's chamber.
How can I help you? What you want?
Okay. His Excellency the President just sent out a statement about the arbitration of the Guyana-Venezuela situation to the International Court.
We get an update because Ministry didn't send out anything. We're not dealing with that. You got to call OP to get the thing.
Yeah, but I'm calling it a capacity that if the thing has been sent to the court, then the Attorney General's office...
We cannot say that. I cannot give out that information. I don't know anything. Right?
The representative from the Legal Affairs and Attorney General's office, Ms. Marks, then told Channel 2 Headline News that there is no public relations officer, neither any department which interfaces with the public on behalf of that ministry.
Hello?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Okay.
I cannot give out those information. I know anything what you're asking me about. I cannot say nothing.
Okay, I first asked if you guys had a public relations department. Do you guys have anybody that deals with the public relations matter coming out of the AG's office?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The legal implications for Guyana is very real in this matter, as Guyana stands to lose a large portion of our mineral-rich Essequibo, which spans some 2/3 of Guyana's landmass. President Granger said that Guyana will do all it can to maintain its territorial lands.
Guyana will take all the necessary steps to ensure that its national patrimony will be protected for all time. Guyana remains committed to the peaceful settlement of disputes, respect for international agreements and treaties, and to maintaining friendly relations with its neighbors.
Granger said that he is quietly optimistic that Guyana will prevail on this issue and that we as a country will continue to maintain peaceful relationships with our neighbors.
Guyana will pursue the path ahead in furtherance of the preservation of its sovereignty and territorial integrity, with quiet confidence and with the assurance in ever-improving relations with its neighbors, Brazil, Suriname, and Venezuela.
For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. Police are currently investigating an early morning robbery near the Route 44 minibus stop. At about 5:10 this morning, Rohan Prasad was proceeding north along the pavement on Longden Street when he was confronted by 4 men. One of the men was armed with a handgun and another with a knife. The suspects then robbed him of his cell phone. They then escaped on foot. Prasad made a report at the Brickdam police station, which prompted police to question several persons in connection with the robbery. The alias of one of the suspects was given as Lil Boy. Investigations are ongoing. The Department of Public Information gives us a historical perspective of the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. Here is Stacey Carmichael for InfoHub.
The controversy continued until an arbitral tribunal was empaneled in 1897 to determine the borders and issued an arbitral award on October 3, 1899. Following this, a joint commission with representatives from both countries delineated the borders in 1905. For half a century, Venezuela honored its agreement in word and deed. In 1931, a boundary commission made up of representatives from Great Britain, Venezuela and Brazil agreed on a specific point on Mount Roraima, where the boundaries of British Guyana, Venezuela and Brazil meet. A concrete marker was erected thereafter. The matter was permanently settled. Venezuela in 1962 then unilaterally and without any basis or evidence announced that it regarded the award of 1899 as null and void. In February 1966, the governments of British Guyana, Great Britain and Venezuela signed in Geneva an agreement by which a bilateral commission was appointed to seek satisfactory solutions for the practical settlement of the controversy. In 1982, both Guyana and Venezuela requested the United Nations Secretary General to decide on a method to bring about resolution to the controversy. The then Secretary General Javier Pérez de Cuéllar chose the Good Offices process in 1990. The UN Good Offices process was declared exhausted by Guyana. Venezuela has consistently embarked on a pattern of subversion, threats and intimidation. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in May 2015 issued a decree, number 1787, laying an illegal claim to almost all of Guyana's maritime zone. The government of Guyana strongly denounced this decree, calling it a flagrant violation of international law and inconsistent with the principle that all states should respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of other states. On December 15, 2016, the former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon informed the presidents of Guyana and Venezuela of his decision under Article 4.2 of the 1966 Geneva Agreement as to the means of settlement of the controversy between Guyana and Venezuela. Secretary General Ban informed that the Good Offices process will continue for one final year until December 31, 2017, with a strengthened mandate of mediation. If by the end of 2017 Secretary General Antonio Guterres concluded that significant progress was not made toward arriving at a full agreement for resolution of the issue, he will then refer the matter to the International Court of Justice for juridical settlement. In February 2017, United Nations Secretary General Guterres named Norwegian lawyer and diplomat Dag Nylander as Good Officer to Georgetown and Caracas. President David Granger met the UN Good Officer in April 2017. On January 30, 2018, UN Secretary General Guterres referred the matter to the International Court of Justice for juridical settlement. Stacey Carmichael for InfoHub.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu defends Gawu's President Komal Chan during a recent meeting with retrenched sugar workers. Esther Sobers has more.
Addressing the redundant sugar workers on Friday, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu lashed out at opposition leader Barrett Jagdew for calling for the resignation of the Guyana Sugar Worker Union President Komal Chan. The call came after a fruitful meeting was held between him and the president regarding the severance pay for redundant sugar workers.
Retrenchment was not in our will. We inherited that from the past government. They had already written that in for you, that you will be severed and you will be gone. All they wanted you for was to become a voting machine. To become a voting machine. And today they want to get rid of Komal Chan because the issue of a third term for the president comes up. And they realize that the largest block of vote that will vote in the Congress and the PP would come from Gawu people. And so they want to lop off Komal Chan's head.
After receiving a supplementary provision of over $1.9 billion from the National Assembly, Minister of Finance Winston Jordan announced that redundant sugar workers whose severance pay are $500,000 and less will be paid in full by the end of January 2008. The government has begun this process as of this past Monday. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away. We have more news for you after the break. Stay with us. For the best Creole food in town, come to Ridley's Restaurant. Taste our hot meals, fresh bread, and sweet pastries. Our spacious dining hall is free for all occasions. For reservations and more, call 226-2518 or 225-7245. We're open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrigley's Restaurant, located at 38 Robb Street, Laceytown, between King and Wellington Streets. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ridley's Restaurant. Tasty and healthy eating.
What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Welcome back. The Interreligious Organization of Guyana hosted a press conference in preparation for the United Nations World Interfaith Harmony Week 2018. Wendell Jeffrey was there and filed this report.
The interreligious organization in the IRO, in collaboration with the Ministry of Social Cohesion, will launch the United Nations World Interfaith Harmony Week on Thursday, 1st February 2018, with its annual prayer breakfast at the National Cultural Center at 9 a.m.
The United Nations sanctioned Interfaith Harmony Week begins tomorrow, February 1st. Today, the interreligious organization held a press conference to share the planned events of the week. The IRO chairman, Pastor Ronald McGarrell, said that harmony needs to be a legacy that we leave for our children.
We want to leave an ideal legacy for our children and our children's children. If we can mold a harmonious and beautiful country, it will be the best gift we can give to our children and our children's children. So I'm appealing to each and every one to please support the interfaith activities this week.
According to the IRO secretary, Jennifer Dior, the prayer breakfast will see participations from a cross-section of religious and political individuals, all speaking on the theme of harmony.
Besides representatives of the religious community, presentations will also be made by representatives of the 3 parliamentary parties and the United Nations Resident Coordinator.
The events are all free and opened to the general public. Dior said that the featured speaker will be the Honorable Prime Minister, and there will be other activities.
The keynote address will be given by the Prime Minister and First Vice President, the Honorable Moses Nagamutu. Other activities planned this year include a cultural concert on Saturday, 3rd February 2018 at 5 p.m. at the National Library, to which the public is invited, and a panel discussion at the University of Guyana Turkine campus on Monday, 5th February 2018.
Executive member of the IRO, Ras Simeon, spoke of the role the Rastafarians will play in this year's activities.
Well, the work of the Rastafari movement is more so to foster unity and goodwill among all religions. The Rastafari community will be partaking even in the prayers and also the symposium, and then we have a concert will be forthcoming. Well, you know, Rastas like to sing reggae music to the Almighty and to the people.
The prayer breakfast starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. and those who are attending need to be seated by 8:45 a.m. For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. Police are currently investigating a robbery at the Institute of the Blind on High Street. At about 10 p.m. last night, 4 gunmen entered the premises demanding cash. According to police reports, Musha Haynes was standing in the compound when he heard footsteps approaching. 2 male voices demanded him to, quote, hand over the money. He then responded saying it was a blind institute and no money is there. He was then struck in the head by one of the gunmen. The men then went to Sylvan Jacobs, who was seated in the hall of the Blind Institute. Jacobs reports hearing footsteps approach and a male voice demanding that he, quote, hand over the money. He also responded, this is the Blind Institute and there is no money. The perpetrators then assaulted at least 4 other members before breaking the door to a storage room where they reportedly stole 1 laptop. Investigations are ongoing. 2017 was a good year for the nation's forestry sector. Hester Sobers has more.
Despite many challenges this year, the Minister of Natural Resources, Raphael Trotman, states that the nation has surpassed production targets for 2017. Minister Trotman noted that log production is likely to be around 36,000 cubic meters after the final tally is completed.
As of today, because the information is still being compiled, but as of today's date, we can say safely that we met the target and have surpassed it. So I am reporting that we have already accounted for 345,000 cubic meters.
He is happy with the results and finds the numbers encouraging for the industry.
It should bring a smile on the face of our Minister of Finance, and hopefully we'll see a revised growth rate for 2017.
Over the last 2 years, the forest industry had struggled to generate revenues locally and domestically due to a declining demand for forest produce. This had been worsened by the exit of the Chinese logging company Baishanling. However, the turnaround in production is expected to generate more than $40 million from the sector. Additionally, these new measures in 2018 budget aim at improving production in the forest sector. The establishment of a consolidated stockyard this year alone, with an increase in the tariff for the import of pine wood, is expected to aid in higher yields.
We are setting ourselves an ambitious target of 400,000 cubic meters for log production, with, of course, more emphasis on value add.
Furthermore, in 2018, the sector will be guided by the revised National Log Export Policy and new revised policy and plan, which is completed with and approved by the Board of Guyana Forestry Commission. Minister Trotman noted he will be taking the two documents to Cabinet for notice and approval soon. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan is reconsidering a change in policy regarding the use of tint on motor vehicles. The minister noted that a decision would have to be made at the level of cabinet on whether to have the traffic rule reversed. According to Minister Ramjatan, certain businessmen, government officials, and persons who are suffering from a range of health conditions have been granted approval to use tints on their vehicles. This has brought many to believe the ruling is unfair. Despite the proposed change, there is still a strong possibility that the general public will be prohibited from installing excessively tinted windows. After the break, we have our regional news, our international news, and more. Stay with us.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you have a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
For the best Creole food in town, come to Ridley's Restaurant. Taste our hot meals, fresh bread, and sweet pastries. Our spacious dining hall is free for all occasions. For reservations and more, call 226-2518 or 225-7245. We're open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrigley's Restaurant, located at 38 Robb Street, Laceytown, between King and Wellington Streets. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ridley's Restaurant. Tasty and healthy eating. And we now take a look at the region. Venezuela's economic and social crisis is fueling a major increase in crime that is spilling into neighboring Colombia. The collapse in Venezuela's currency has made cross-border smuggling a lucrative business for criminal gangs. Al Jazeera's Alessandro Rampiedi reports from Villa de Rosario.
Shots ring out over the Simón Bolívar bridge dividing Colombia and Venezuela as people dodge and run for cover. In the last 4 months, at least 14 gunfights have erupted in the border town of Villa de Rosario. The gun battles have left 40 people dead as Colombian and Venezuelan crime groups fight for control of the lucrative contraband of goods on this porous, lawless border. The mayor says people are terrified.
We need the national government to wake up about the effects of Venezuela's crisis. We are being told we need to prepare for what will come, but it's not what will come, it's already here.
Since Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro shut down the border last year to all but foot traffic, violence has increased tenfold. Venezuela's hyperinflation is too profitable a temptation for the gangs. In 2 years, the Colombian peso has increased 40 times in value over the Venezuelan bolivar. Cross-border smuggling, once limited to petrol, now extends to scrap metal, fruits, meat, or anything that can fetch 3 times its price in Venezuela. Colombia's response has been increasing police presence on the ground.
We're going to look for trucks full of contraband in this area. Probably informants already warned the smugglers of our presence, so the trucks can be hidden in one of the trails.
In pitch darkness and complete silence, the officers patrol through a maze-like collection of ever-expanding trails. But it's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Colombia's special forces are on the lookout here on the river Táchira, which divides Venezuela from Colombia. This is just one of over 140 known crossings that smugglers use to move goods into Colombia. Of course, it's practically impossible to control all of them, despite the police's best efforts.
But experts say the fight is also undermined by the lack of collaboration between the two countries and exacerbated by persistent corruption.
There's no doubt that the border is being sold to the highest bidder. This area is in the hands of criminal enterprises dedicated to drug trafficking, large-scale smuggling, extortion, kidnapping, human trafficking, and it has been activated by the closure of the border.
The rise in crime is just another side of the increasing economic and social crisis in Venezuela that has no end in sight. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera, Villa de Rosario.
And internationally, ABC News gives us a summary of President Donald Trump's first State of the Union speech.
George is in Washington, D.C. for that big moment for the president, his very first State of the Union address.
Yeah, Amy, and a group of us had lunch with the president yesterday before the address. The president was saying he really hoped it would be a uniting moment. That's what he was going to try to do. But boy, that speech he chose to give did not do the trick last night. It was about the iciest reception I have ever seen inside that House chamber. Democrats and Republicans as divided as ever.
And George, the president even made news walking out of the speech. A comment he made after his address about that secret GOP memo was caught on a hot mic.
And Kennedy delivering the Democratic response live for the first time ever. We're going to talk to Congressman Joe Kennedy in just a moment. But George, some fun being poked at him on Twitter. The curse of having to give the State of the Union response. It always seems to happen. This time the question is, was he wearing chapstick, George?
Yeah, was he wearing chapstick? Was it drool? We're going to talk to the congressman about that coming up. First, our chief White House correspondent, John Carl, starts us off. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. The White House had promised an optimistic and unifying speech. Much of the speech certainly was optimistic, but from my vantage point inside that chamber, this was not a speech that unified Congress.
For his first official State of the Union address, it was an upbeat, positive President Trump.
The state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
He boasted about an American comeback.
For many years, companies and jobs were only leaving us. But now they are roaring back. They're coming back. They want to be where the action is. They want to be in the United States of America. That's where they want to be.
And he highlighted low unemployment numbers for minorities.
African American unemployment stands at the lowest rate ever recorded. And Hispanic American unemployment has also reached the lowest levels in history.
Democrats just weren't buying it. They spent most of the night sitting silently, even as the president called for bipartisanship and unity.
We all share the same home, the same heart, the same destiny, and the same great American flag. We proudly stand for the national anthem.
The president laid out his priorities for the year, some clearly designed to appeal to Democrats.
I've directed my administration to make fixing the injustice of high drug prices one of my top priorities. I am asking both parties to come together to give us safe, fast, reliable, and modern infrastructure.
In making his pitch for his immigration proposal, the president highlighted the horrific plight of two families whose teenage daughters were killed by the criminal gang MS-13.
Many of these gang members took advantage of glaring loopholes in our laws to enter the country as illegal, unaccompanied, alien minors.
But the specifics of his plan to protect dreamers and tighten border security drew hisses and boos from Democrats.
Under the current broken system, a single immigrant can bring in virtually unlimited numbers of distant relatives. Under our plan,
and as Congress debates the fate of the so-called dreamers, President Trump had this message.
My duty and the sacred duty of every elected official in this chamber is to defend Americans, to protect their safety, their families, their communities, and their right to the American dream. Because Americans are dreamers too.
The president took a hard line on North Korea, highlighting the repressiveness of Kim Jong-un's regime with the story of this man, a North Korean defector who was tortured and had his limbs amputated before he managed to escape the brutal regime.
Today he has a new leg, but Sung Ho, I understand you still keep those old crutches as a reminder of how far you've come. Your great sacrifice is an inspiration to us all.
As the president sketched out his immigration proposal, there was one campaign promise that was noticeably absent. No mention whatsoever of the second half of his most repeated campaign promise, that Mexico would be paying for the wall.
Now for your 7-day weather forecast. Here's this week's bridge retraction schedule and today's foreign currency exchange rates. And that's Channel 2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Channel 2 Headline News on Facebook and YouTube. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast, and Thursday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm George Gonzalez, signing out from this newscast, saying thank you for welcoming us into your homes, and do have a blessed evening.